Hey Aquarius, what's up? Where I'm seeing us start within the energy is feeling more to yourself right now. So whether this is like, I've been needing a break, or I've been needing to spend time reconnecting with myself, or needing to do something to kind of like center and bring yourself back into a level-headed space. It feels like that's happening. Also too, this can be like needing to make things quiet. So this can be your environment, or it can be like, I'm not gonna be looking at my phone and looking at this and kind of like making more noise. This can be something that you did to sort of like silence things and bring things back into the center. And it feels like, whether this was just everything feels so busy in my head and I need to get back to a grounded place, where this was like, I've been thinking about things and really needing to feel clear on this, whatever it is, I'm seeing you get that. Like, you get to that point of a breakthrough. It feels even like I'm getting images of breaking a sound barrier here. So clarity comes out of this period. Clarity even helps you break out of this period. That can mean too that if this has to do with a particular area of your life, like let's say maybe on the job front or something like this, it can be there being like a bit of a lull, and now can be a point where like you rested enough, you've thought about it enough, you've sat with it enough, you've tuned in enough, you've listened enough, and now you can feel very clear on like what you're doing and where you're going and where you want to be showing up and how you want to be doing that. So you can feel almost like you can like re-emerge back into the world. And that you know what you're doing. Okay. You can be starting it can be like a new project, starting a business, starting a job, starting some sort of venture. It looks like it has to do with 3D. There can be a new role that you're going to be playing, or you can be approaching something differently now. Especially if you were feeling lost in some way before, I'm not seeing that be anymore. I feel like you found your way. And this time could have given you a sense of direction that maybe you didn't have before. Helping you be confident about what you're doing. Even what you're going to be doing. For some of you too, now this doesn't have to be the case for everybody, it's a general reading, but for some of you, I'm seeing what looks like a partner or a close friend, and there can also be a child that's kind of involved in this thing that you've been going through recently. I feel like this, if these are people that are around you, this can be somebody that you know eventually is going to like follow in your footsteps, or you can feel kind of like you have some sort of older, younger dynamic with them, really regardless of ages. This can be somebody that you feel like in certain ways you impact this person, this like younger person, and that you set an example for them. There could be something like that that's at play here. And I'm also seeing a Queen of Wands as well, so this can be somebody that's really supportive. The energy of the Queen of Wands is going to be somebody that will really be like a cheerleader for you and encourage you to be like confident within yourself and sure within yourself. And there's somebody that can really motivate you as well. So it can be somebody like that you kind of, you look to them, and when they nod at you, you can feel more confident within what you're doing. But it can be somebody around you that you kind of like to check for a little bit. And if this is just all you with you, think this period that you've had to break out of some way of thinking before that I think could have really held you back, because this can mean like I'm making choices out of this place. I'm not saying you be doing this anymore, but what may have been happening before, because I'm seeing the devil below the Ace of Swords, what this can mean is that you had certain things that were influencing you that aren't actually what's best for you. But when we have the devil there, we can feel like we have no other choice than to make our decisions to be like motivated by something. It's going to be like, it can be desperation, it can be obligation, it can be like, well, if I don't do this, how am I going to pay for that? Or how am I going to make things work? And we don't really want to, but sometimes we feel like we have to, and like that is our only way. But when we have the devil is connected with illusion, and this feels like some sort of mental illusion that you've had to break out of. And conformity can be part of this as well. And even if this is just like you allowing yourself to think differently, to think outside of the box, and you could have even been, this feels like you were involved in something that kept like going and going and going, and it's really hard to separate yourself from it. And now coming to a place where you can be facing this part of yourself, and this can be a part of you that can be influenced, where it's like your like ego is what matters, and your identity is what matters, and what people think about what you're doing matters. And this whole mindset of it being very like materially based, but to the point where you can feel like you lose yourself. I feel like you've taken some sort of break or separation from that, so you can be seeing things more clearly, seeing where you were chained to something and you were not really free. And so I'm seeing actually a lot of psychological work that you've been doing as it relates to what you're doing in 3D and what you have going on and where you want to be. But you could have, I feel like you had to step off your path for a minute, or at least pause, just so you could see this clearly. Because it feels like if you would have just like remained within the cycle, I feel like you wouldn't have been able to back it up enough to have a clear perspective really of what was going on. Because this feels like when you're in it, it's really hard to kind of see things clearly. So this feels like there was some type of taking a big step back and then being able to see things clearly. So I think this may have exposed things psychologically for you. And clarified what's really important to you. Because the devil feels like things that may really make a great case for it being important, but there's like a variant that doesn't allow you to see things clearly when involved in a process like that. And so it's things that can make a really great case and like maybe sound good on paper, but as soon as you start following that regimen, like something about it feels wrong to you, and you're like, why am I not happy? Or why do I feel like this? Or why do I just still feel like it's not enough? Or why did I really choose this? I don't think this is really what I wanted. It's going to be these sorts of things. And I think that's what you were doing before. And if I don't know like how this break came about if you did this deliberately and you were like, I really need to clear my head and think about this stuff, or whatever, how it happened. What I'm seeing is that it did happen. And I think in this time, it's been allowing you to reconnect with a part of yourself that I think got lost along the way. And this is the part of you that's passionate and creative, and you're confident in yourself, and you know what you want, and you know what you like and what you feel connected with, and also what you don't want. Because Queen of Wands is a card that's going to be connected with the attraction or the opposition. It's going to be connected with what we feel is like soul resonance with us and what we want to be a part of versus what we don't want to be a part of. And this can also be about you regaining your sense of direction and your personal power as well, and recognizing what you know within your soul is actually important to you versus what kind of the outside world is telling you is important. And then if you were to kind of like take that advice and go with it, you'd feel like you're off track in some way. Like things just, it wouldn't add up and it wouldn't feel right to you. And so this time that you've had feels like clarifying the difference between those things, like what's actually yours versus what may be being put on you, but it's not actually yours, and it's not actually true for you, and it's not actually what you want, and it's not actually your only option either. And that means having to face your own fears and your own hang-ups as well. So we have Capricorn and we have Pisces. King of Pentacles is connected with Taurus. Queen of Wands is connected with Aries. And we also have a Page of Wands, which can be connected with a fire energy. And we also have Knight of Swords, which is Gemini, I believe. So yeah, all of these are energies, archetypally speaking, that can be involved in this for you. Starting off with Four of Swords feels like have to be still in order to really connect, and in order for you to like listen and really hear yourself and what you think, and not just have the blabber of everything else around you to the point where you can't even hear yourself thinking. And then ending with Knight of Swords feels like you're ready to take action now, and you feel like you have a sense of direction and clarity that at the beginning it feels like it was about gaining that, and it seems like it has happened now. I do see like had to pause things in order for you to kind of like review, but I get especially about resting and tuning in, and something about turning the volume down of everything else and turning your internal volume up, which could have felt lost before, but now it seems like you've reconnected with it, where you can be like, this is what I want to do, I know that this is what I want. But I get before something had been going on that was really like getting in the way of you feeling in touch with this part of yourself, but now I'm definitely seeing like a breakthrough out of it. And at this point when you come up, it's like really coming up for air. And before, I feel like you didn't realize that you weren't breathing. And it could have felt very... I just get this feeling of being lost, but almost not realizing it. And then the difference between being there and being here where you are now, where you have such pristine clarity, it's like you see where you were before and kind of like how lost you were before, but it's also crazy because it feels like I didn't even realize that I was like that deep under in a process, that I was like that covered up and like that disconnected from myself. So now can be a point where like in comparison, it feels like such a stark contrast between the two, but almost like before you like weren't noticing it. It's like you really were dunked underneath the water, but felt like you were above breathing, and that wasn't really what was happening. So I just think that this is a time when you can be seeing how you, I think a process like this can happen very gradually, and so we don't realize that we're not seeing things clearly anymore. We get disconnected very gradually from ourselves, and now just having this like everything's back in alignment and you're seeing things clearly and you recognize what's important to you again, and you're just like facing things that I think you may have been influencing you but you weren't aware before. It just feels like everything is clear when you're looking, and that you did some sort of energetic, spiritual, psychological, unconscious to conscious work on yourself here. And now at this point feels like I feel much more clear on what's important to me, on what I really do want to be focusing on, of what matters most to me. And that this has really like separated you. I feel like you individuated in a way that you weren't before, and you feel like you've found yourself in a way that you could have really not been feeling like that before. And I think overall you're at a point where you're like, I'm feeling confident, I'm feeling empowered, I'm feeling in touch with myself, and now I'm ready to do this because what I know is important to me, I'm like totally aware of that now, and now I can go in that direction. But yeah, before I'm seeing you could have been doing things and picking things because you felt like it was maybe like the right thing to do, but then it felt wrong for you, and you could have felt yourself sort of starting to go in that direction again, because I feel like this is something that's been done before, and now it feels like what has kind of come up is the clarifier for that. So this can mean too being at like a crossroads within your life and being like, I really don't know which way to go here, all the way to, I think you're like pretty clear on things right now for the most part. So you can go. But yeah, there was definitely a having to separate yourself from something that was influencing you, which was not in your best interest and not really you. I see something that would have really, really, really strongly been influencing you. And like if you went that way, things would not have added up to something that you'd feel was really like your storyline, actually. Something that can be tricky about a process like this too is that like we are in 3D and there is material stuff, and so this can maybe be telling you how to connect with those things in a way that feels authentic and right for you versus connecting with those things in a way where it feels like it just covers you up and disconnects you from yourself. And I think too, I'm getting something about like these really heavy influences on you, and that these are actually helping you to find yourself, but it's really hard to like unbury yourself from that. So I'm seeing a process where you have been unburying yourself, but these are like really heavy things to lift off of yourself and to shed, because they convince us that it's who we are, what's expected of us, and we're not going to be happy without doing those things, whatever. So like having these moments of this isn't even mine and taking that off, I think it's just a really major process for you to be going through, where you can feel like every day you're kind of finding yourself more and more and more. But I think when you were freshly beginning this process, you could have just felt like, I get just this stuff on top of you that had kind of hardened. It's like paper mache, like this stuff that just started sticking to you and then it hardened, and now this whole like taking it off and then finding yourself. And where we are ending this reading feels like whatever those pieces were that needed to come off, it feels like they have at this point. So I think for the most part, you really are seeing what you needed to see. Something too is that I think that these things that have influenced you, like the paper mache stuff that stuck to you, I see it be connecting with somebody that's been connected with your storyline. And whether this person is like still around or not, this can be somebody that they thought or they think in a particular way, and that can be something that has really influenced you because it spoke to something within you. But this can be connecting with your own belief systems that are connected with fear. And that can be something that you're becoming aware of, because this can be somebody that you see around you that you could have always saw this person as like seeming confident about their storyline and what was going on, and that they were somebody that knew best or knew what was right. But in doing this work yourself, I feel like you're seeing certain things that maybe you didn't see before. Stuff that maybe isn't real, stuff that's maybe like, this can be somebody that like, whether they gave you direct advice or you're just like influenced by being around this person, I feel like their vibe was something that before you started doing this work within yourself, you could have felt like in many ways they had a lot of things figured out, and you can be seeing things a little bit differently now. And I see kind of like a Capricorn influence. So this can be somebody where like material stuff, like status and roots and money and effectiveness And these sorts of things are really resources in general, like what people think can't really rest because that's not effective, like work, 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 work. It can be this type of thing that was very influential upon this person's story. And now that you're taking a look at these things yourself, you can be kind of, your perspective of this person can be shifting, especially if this was somebody that seemed kind of like empty and a bit unhappy, or kind of like endless, wanting to take in and take in and take in, and it's like never really satisfied. And that can be something before where maybe you saw that as like this person being very hungry and ambitious, and you could have like seen that as a virtue before, and you can be seeing things differently now. You can be seeing it more so as something that's maybe out of order a bit. You can maybe be seeing it as something that is just like energetically misplaced, like something going on energetically. But I think that this was something like a characteristic that you had taken on and been influenced by. And I think you may have felt like you lost yourself a little bit, or like lost your way a little bit, because of how heavily this was influencing you. You know, like this can be somebody that focuses solely on the material stuff to the point where there's like spiritual neglect. And I don't think that was seen at first, but it can be being seen now, and you can be like, I was doing that to myself and like with myself as well, and it's allowing me to see now what's important. So like this is actually meant to, whether this be you with you, or it's like somebody that you can recognize has influenced you in this way, it's something that's meant to help you work with these parts within you. Because, you know, if you didn't have those like receptors energetically to things, only what you have receptors to energetically can you be impacted by. So this, you can only be influenced when you have some sort of receptivity within you that connects with. You have some type of like vibrational connectivity there. So overall, I think that this just helped expose this side of yourself, and stuff that could have been very deeply buried that now feels like it's come up, and that you can see things clearly, and that whatever this is, I feel like you're in the process of clearing it out if you have not cleared it out already. And ending with the Empress on the bottom of the deck, I do really feel overall like you're feeling like yourself again, and you can feel in touch again, and you can feel the spark of creativity and kind of what you're ready to do now at this point. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.